delivering takeout late at night, but the one who opened the door was my wife. But the address wasn't even ours. Your next delivery is about to be late, hurry up and go. We can talk later. As she closed the door, I heard a man's voice from inside asking, "Who is it?" "Just a delivery guy," she answered briefly. I opened the chat with my wife and directly added her to the blacklist. This time, I wouldn't forgive her. I was going to take my 5 million yuan and disappear. But she went crazy, searching for me everywhere. By the time the takeout arrived late into the night, my phone had died. When I got home and turned it back on, there wasn't a single message or missed call. I unconsciously opened my wife's live stream. "Family, let us hit 500k likes, and I'll dance for you." Fans in the comments were going wild. "Host, kiss him. Kiss him. What are you talking about? It's just a colleague, nothing more. You guys are being ridiculous." Though my wife was explaining, her eyes were full of amusement, as if she was enjoying it. She'd been flirting with the top fan in her live stream, trying to attract more viewers. She was shouting, "Hit a certain number of likes and I'll do something for you." I stared at my wife in the video, posing seductively. She seemed like a stranger, someone I hardly recognized. Ever since she gained a bit of success with her suggestive videos, she had switched to selling products. She was out early in the morning, coming home late every day. She started spending more time with different men, all of whom she assured me were business partners, brothers working together to make money. "You're so petty. They are just colleagues. You know this is the age of internet fame, right?" I hadn't even reacted before the screen suddenly switched to a host has left notification. But I waited all night, and she still didn't call me or come home. Slowly, fatigue overcame me, and I fell asleep. The next morning, I was woken by a loud knock at the door. It took me a moment to realize it wasn't a dream. When I saw her, she immediately started scolding me. "Why did it take you so long to open the door? Don't you know I'm exhausted from work? I told you to change the lock, but you didn't." I forced a smile. "Yeah, it's really exhausting. When the lights are on, it's one job. When the lights are off, it's another job. What do you mean by that? Are you being sarcastic? I just went to his house to do a live stream, is that such a big deal?" I was too tired to argue anymore. It was already nearly 8 a.m. I had to get ready for work. As I was putting on my shoes at the door, she asked, "Where are you going? It's early and you didn't even make me breakfast. Where are you running off to?" I was annoyed. "I need to go to work. It's Sunday, who are you trying to fool?" She continued to question me from a high and mighty stance. I was speechless and didn't want to bother with her anymore. "I already told you, I'm working today because I swapped my day off." I don't know when it started, but she never remembered anything I said. Not even our anniversary or my birthday. The world revolved around her, her work, and I was just her assistant. When she realized I was upset, she awkwardly laughed and tried to change her tone, hugging my arm. "Once I'm done with all this work, we're having a company team building event. I'll take you, like last time, okay?" I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I didn't want to even mention last time when her company held a team building event. She and her colleagues played truth or dare games, feeding each other. Afterward, a group of them drove off, and she joked that they were all from the car owner group, unlike us since we hadn't bought a car yet. In the end, they left me stranded at a service station in freezing cold weather, and I had to find my way home alone. I muttered that I wasn't going and walked out without looking back. She kept yelling at me from behind. When I came back that evening after work, I was changing into my delivery uniform and preparing to head out when a friend sent me a recording of her live stream. "Damn, is that my sister-in-law? This is wild." In the video, my wife was kissing the top fan passionately. The comments were exploding. I knew she would go to any length for views, but I never imagined she would be this shameless. I opened her live stream. My wife, blushing, continued to shout about hitting 500k likes for the next round of action. The comments were flooding in. "Take off your clothes. Take off your clothes." She agreed, saying that if they hit 1 million likes, she'd take her clothes off. I was furious. At first, when she told me she wanted to become a suggestive streamer, I blamed myself for being useless and allowing her to do this. But now, I realized she was enjoying it. I called her, but as expected, she didn't pick up. I was so angry, I could barely stay calm, my whole body trembling. I immediately sent her a message. Chen Qian, let us get a divorce. Late into the night, the rain had grown heavier and the temperature dropped, making it impossible to continue delivering. After parking my e-bike and charging it, I opened my messages again. No response from her. When I walked in the door, I was surprised to see she had set up a candlelight dinner on the table. Are you back? Come sit down and eat. Seeing that I was drenched, she hurried to help me take off my wet clothes and handed me a towel to dry off. This is something I've been preparing for you since early morning. I looked at the beautifully arranged dishes on the table. It was clear that these were just pre-packaged meals heated in the microwave. My wife hadn't cooked for me since we got married, and she never learned how to cook. I glanced at the overflowing trash can, which had a logo from a 5-star hotel. I realized what had happened. She must have had breakfast with someone else, and this was the leftover food. As she lit the candles on the table, she said, "We didn't celebrate our anniversary properly last time. I was careless. This time, I'm making it up to you." She pushed a gift box toward me. It looked like a shoe box. The dishes were pre-made, leftovers from someone else. I couldn't help but suspect the shoes in the box were also leftovers from someone else. Sure enough, when I picked them up, they didn't fit me. I took off my coat and picked up my pajamas, heading to the bathroom to shower and rest. I'm tired. I have to work tomorrow. When Chen Qian saw that I didn't appreciate everything she did for me, she lost it. Do you have any idea how busy I am? I had to skip my live stream just to come back and make up for it. Make up for it? I frowned. Now, everyone knew her live stream had been banned because of the inappropriate content. You've only done a little for me, just a breakfast, and you act like it's such a big favor. What about me, who cooks, washes the dishes, and does the housework every day? What am I then? I was too tired to argue, so I turned to leave. Chen Qian, enraged, swept all the dishes off the table, and the ceramic bowls shattered all over the floor. She kept shouting at me from behind. Don't be ungrateful. You eat my food, wear my clothes, and use my money to support yourself, and now you come home asking for comfort, and you're still so unwilling. My anger flared. So this was her true feelings. I snapped back. Comfort me. You spend the night at another man's house, kiss another man in your live stream, and you expect me to believe it's for me? You've got some nerve. Chen Qian, hands on her hips, tried to explain. I was drunk, you know that. How dare you get so drunk at another man's house and not call me to pick you up? I scolded her. She retorted. Well, you were the one who agreed for me to be a streamer. What are you upset about now? I only pushed the boundaries a little, but this is what is trending now. It's how we make money, don't you understand? I couldn't take it anymore. Do we need your money? I can afford everything on my own. You're the one who said you couldn't stay at home and wanted a job, that's why I let you go out. Now you've turned everything around like it's my fault. I kept venting all my frustration over the past days. She started to soften after hearing this, trying to comfort me. She came over and hugged me. Next time, I'll be more careful. Once this phase is over, we'll go on a trip, I'll take you out and we'll spend time together, okay? My heart was already shattered. I felt nothing anymore. I coldly replied. I won't trust you anymore. At that moment, Chen Qian's phone rang. What? Which hospital is he at? After hanging up the phone, Chen Qian looked at me with a troubled expression and explained. A guy from the company got into a car accident. He's asking me to go check on him. I scoffed. Doesn't he have parents? Why does he need you to take care of him? His parents aren't around. He just signed with our company, and I've been mentoring him. Now that he is in trouble, I need to help more. I had nothing to say. I had seen too many times where a phone call would take her away from me. Sure enough, ever since she became famous, other people's problems had become far more important than mine. This guy, Lin Xianjun, was an artist my wife worked with, and they had an unclear relationship. The candlelight dinner she promised me was ruined by his call. I met Chen Qian back in college. Who would guess that she was working as a prostitute back then? Before I went bankrupt, my family was wealthy. I met her while drinking with friends at a KTV. My friends were the type to invite a group of girls. She stood there, looking innocent and clueless. Later, I found out it was her first time. Her grandmother had a stroke and urgently needed 5 million for medical expenses. She had no choice but to enter that line of work. I couldn't bear to watch, so I gave her the 5 million for her grandmother's treatment, but her grandmother still passed away. Afterward, our relationship grew closer. When my father went bankrupt, she chose to stay with me. I was touched and proposed to her. I thought, no matter whether I had money or not, she loved me for who I was. But now I realized I was wrong. Seeing me silent, Chen Chen picked up her coat and bag, and was putting on her shoes at the door. Wait for me. I'll take you to a better restaurant for dinner. I issued my final ultimatum. Chen Chen, if you leave this door today, I'm done with you. Chen Chen, who had been avoiding the topic for so long, finally couldn't avoid it anymore. She was furious. Fu Jing. You ungrateful fool. She pulled out 50,000 yuan from her bag and threw it in my face. Several hundred bills fluttered to the ground. Do you think you can compare to him? This is the fee he casually gave me tonight. You're the one who's using this money. Fu Jing, do you really think you're still some rich second-generation heir, that you're so amazing? I didn't expect her to throw money at me in such a humiliating way. With the sound of the door slamming, I went into the bathroom to shower. The water poured over me, and I didn't know if it was water or tears on my face. After all these years, I finally realized I had been wrong. When I finished showering and picked up my phone, I received a message from the bank. I saw that 5 million had mysteriously been transferred into my account. I didn't think much of it, assuming it was Chen Chen trying to apologize and send me money. Exhausted, I fell asleep as soon as I hit the pillow. The next day, I thought, if I'm really going to divorce her, I shouldn't take her money anymore. During lunch break, I went to the bank and transferred the 5 million back. But to my surprise, when I checked my bank account during work, I found another 5 million had been deposited. Confused, I called my father, who lives in the US. Dad? Did our family finances get sorted out? He replied. No, son, how have you been lately? I mumbled a vague response and hung up the phone. Who had sent me this 5 million? Just as I was puzzling over this, when I finished work, I saw Chen Chen's BMW parked at the entrance of the company building. I opened the door and got into the car. Chen Chen, smiling, handed me a cup of milk tea. When she saw it was mine, her face froze. What are you doing here? She asked. I wanted to ask her the same thing. This is where I work, I explained. Chen Chen looked surprised. She had never known where I worked. And who was that milk tea for? I don't even drink sweet drinks. Just as I was about to ask if she had transferred money into my account, a muscular guy with a gym bag opened the back door and sat in the car. He greeted her familiarly. Sis, I'm hungry, what are we having for dinner? He spoke sweetly, like he was flirting with a girlfriend. This was Lin Xianjun. When Lin Xianjun saw me, he realized there was another person in the car and awkwardly smiled. Hi, bro. I coldly scoffed. Oh, so you know I'm your brother-in-law now? Seeing that I was uncomfortable, my wife, clearly displeased, tried to push me out of the car. Take a cab home. I've got stuff to do. I'll be streaming late tonight, don't wait for me. At that moment, the guy seized the opportunity to speak up. Sis, Ji Yang is in another district. Let us go pick him up now. Sure, Chen Chen replied cheerfully. It had only been a day since we had argued so fiercely. Now, she acted as if nothing had happened. She was completely at ease. I opened the car door and got out, saying calmly, when you have time, let us go get the divorce papers. I did my best to stay calm, but Chen Chen clearly wasn't happy. He's just a kid, why are you jealous of him? Stop making a scene, alright? I'm busy and tired, let us talk about everything when I get back. Last night, he was the one who rushed to call you, wasn't he? I calmly responded. Was it said that he was in a severe car accident? Couldn't he even walk? Why is he going to the gym today then? Chen Chen looked uncomfortable and a little awkward. I got out of the car and waved down a taxi. After all these years of being together, I now realized that I might never have truly understood her. When I got home and opened the door, a child ran over and handed me a letter. I grabbed the child and asked, "What are you doing?" The child licked his lollipop and said, "Three uncles told me to give this to you," then ran off. Things were getting stranger by the minute. The inexplicable 5 million and this letter. When I got home, I opened the letter. To my surprise, it contained photos. They were all naked photos of my wife. Seeing those photos, I could hardly believe it. Chen Qian, you really never know a person's true heart. After all these years, what has she been doing outside? Furious, I called her immediately. She hung up on me the first time. The second time, she didn't pick up. On the third try, she finally answered, but I could only hear loud music, the sound of a nightclub. "I'm at work, we'll talk later." She hung up again. Clearly, the music coming from the other end was from a bar, but she claimed she was working. When I tried calling again, her phone was off. I rode my bike to the bar where their company often held events. When I got there, I found that Chen Qian was already completely drunk. Lin Xianjun, standing next to her, was helping her. When he saw me, he was surprised, but his hand, which had been supporting her, turned into an embrace. He said, "She's just too happy and drank too much." I was about to take her home. But he didn't offer me any help. Instead, he just held her waist. His eyes, though polite, were filled with disdain and provocation. "Hey, you should make her some honey water at home, she'll feel better. She really drank a lot today." I interrupted him, "You're not her husband, don't tell me what to do." When I approached and tried to help her, she shrugged me off, falling into Lin Xianjun's arms, clutching his waist tightly, saying, don't leave, let us drink some more." Her face was buried in his neck, and her lips were brushing his skin as she kissed him over and over again. Lin Xianjun's face and ears turned red and hot. In front of me, they were being reckless with their affection. I didn't know what was going on when I wasn't looking. I grabbed a bucket of cold water from the table and poured it all over Chen Qian's face, and Lin Xianjun too. Chen Qian gasped, coughing, and glared at me, "What's your problem? Are you sober now?" My patience had run thin. "Now that you're sober, come with me. We need to talk, I have something important to say to you." Chen Qian mocked me, "Important? What important thing could you have?" She was still swaying and trembling, pointing at me as she cursed, "Do you know how much I made today? Do you know how much I brought to the company today?" As she spoke, her hand slid down Lin Xianjun's chest, caressing him. Lin Xianjun didn't reject her, but pretended to push her away. "Chen, don't do this. Your husband's here. She made more tonight than you make in a year, what are you even talking about? If I had met him years ago, you wouldn't even be in the picture. I haven't mentioned divorce because I've been kind to you, because I've had a conscience. Don't forget, you eat my food, wear my clothes." Chen Qian wobbled again and collapsed into Lin Xianjun's arms. She was full of disdain and disappointment toward me in her words. "So these are your true feelings, huh? You've always thought of me this way, don't regret it, Chen Qian." I threw down the last of my harsh words and turned to leave. That 5 million, those naked photos, whatever happens, I no longer want anything to do with her. Let her deal with the consequences on her own. When I got to the entrance of my building, I noticed an old lady standing there waiting. Just as I was about to open the door with my key, the old lady asked, "Are you Chen Qian's husband?" "Grandma, who are you?" "I'm Chen Qian's grandmother." I was stunned. Didn't her grandmother pass away from a stroke during university? "Grandma, you must be mistaken. Are you in the wrong place?" I was so shocked my legs felt weak. Could it be that I'm meeting a ghost at this hour? I'm not in the wrong place. My granddaughter's name is Chen Qian. Are you her husband? I'm her husband. The grandmother became a little upset, she hasn't contacted me in years. I didn't even know she had married. But Chen Qian told me that you passed away from a stroke in 2019? The old lady cursed, "You're a bastard, a little bastard out here fooling around. You even said I was dead. You're ungrateful." Par. I was confused. What was going on here? I invited the grandmother inside, and after talking for a long time, I finally understood. Turns out, back in university, I was young and reckless, spending money freely. She told me her grandmother was in critical condition and needed 5 million for surgery. I was too naive to question why such an expensive procedure was needed. Now, I realized the truth. She had been working since she was young in illegal industries. She didn't keep in touch with her family, and her grandmother hadn't spoken to her in years. I had been deceived into marrying her, and now I felt utterly hopeless. So this 5 million was from you? Yes, people have been asking me for money for a long time. They came to me again this time. It turned out that the 5 million had been given to her grandmother to pay off old debts. Over the years, since Chen Chen started making money, she had sent money back to help her grandmother, who saved it for her. But what I didn't expect was that Chen Chen had gone back to borrowing money through shady loans. The grandmother then transferred the money back to my account, thinking that I was the creditor. At that moment, Lin Xianjun called. Brother, Chen Jie vomited blood and is in the hospital. The doctor said it's gastric bleeding. The doctor says she needs a small surgery, and family members should come to take care of her. I was speechless. After all these years of deception, only now did I learn the truth. Now that she needed me, she wanted me to accompany her. Back then, Chen Qian was so meticulous in taking care of Lin Xianjun, but now, when things were serious, he just wanted to run away. I had never imagined that one day I would be deceived into a marriage, that she would lie to me like this. This was a betrayal. I felt more hopeless than ever. I arranged for my grandmother and said, "You rest at home. I'll go to the hospital and bring her back. We'll settle this face to face." It was time to end it. Just as I was about to put on my jacket and leave, someone started banging on the door. Chen Qian. Chen Qian. Open the door. I saw the light on inside. I know you're home. If you don't pay up, I'll smash the door down. The debt collectors somehow found my house. As soon as I opened the door, one of them barged in and arrogantly sat on the sofa, slamming a pile of receipts and documents onto the coffee table. You're Chen Qian's husband, right? He looked at me with a domineering attitude. Who are you? These are receipts for the 5 million, plus interest. The total amount is 5.8 million. Do you want to pay in cash or via WeChat? Since you're her husband, you should help her pay. I refused. This is her debt. Why should I pay for it? If it had been me in the past, I would have found a way to gather the money, begging anyone for help to pay it off. But now, I was different. I had completely lost hope. I'm not paying for her. Do whatever you want. I grabbed my car keys and was about to head out to the hospital to find Chen Qian and get an explanation. But just as I took a step, they grabbed me by the collar and pulled me back. 3 large men started smashing things around, throwing them to the ground. One of them grabbed Chen Qian's grandmother and threatened, "Are you going to pay or not?" I wasn't afraid at all. Is this how you do business? You even dare to harm an elderly woman. This debt is all Chen Qian's. If you want your money, go find her. Don't come harassing me. I'm getting a divorce from her, it's none of my business. Huh, you think it's none of your business just because you say so? I can't find her, but you can't escape. The man who grabbed my collar wasn't listening to me at all. He picked me up and slammed me hard onto the floor. My chin hit the floor, and blood started flowing from the corner of my mouth. I regretted it so much. How could I have been so blind to fall for Chen Qian? Now, I was suffering because of her. She's in the hospital now, go find her. They still wouldn't let me go. They viciously warned, who's going to believe you? You're all family. Why are you taking me to the hospital? Either you bring Chen Qian to me, or I'll kill you today. Before I could say anything, the debt collectors started beating me. They knocked me to the ground, punching and kicking me, kicking my back and my stomach. I could only protect my head. At that moment, my grandmother shakily held up her phone showing the police number and threatened, "Leave now. If not, I'll call the police." When I saw that her hand was trembling, about to dial, the debt collectors finally stopped, spitting on my face. "I'll give you 3 days. If you don't have the money by then, you'll pay the price." I lost consciousness and fainted. When I woke up the next day, I was in the hospital. My grandmother came in with a freshly made hot water bottle and told me, luckily, the doctor said it's just some external injuries and a mild concussion. With more rest and observation, you'll be fine. Do you want to eat something? I'll go buy it for you. I was thirsty, so I drank some water. Then my grandmother eagerly said there was a porridge shop downstairs and went down to buy it for me. After she left, Chen Chen called. As soon as I answered, she was furious, scolding me, "Where did you go? You left the house in such a mess. I just drank too much last night. Do you really need to go crazy at home, throwing a tantrum? You're making it so hard for me to do my live broadcast tonight." I even heard a man's voice in the background say, "Just go broadcast at my place." It was the voice of the #1 fan. I recognized it. Because of her debt, I had been beaten and hospitalized, and she was still with this man. I was too exhausted to argue with her and didn't want to say anything more. There were still debt notices scattered around the house. If she had even a little bit of awareness, she would have noticed them instead of insulting me. I hung up the phone and then told the debt collectors about her live broadcast tonight at her #1 fan's place. "You should go look for her. Chen Chen, you were the one who betrayed me first, don't blame me for being heartless." I hung up the phone, bit through the pain, packed my things, and got ready to leave. I left a note for my grandmother, telling her to find a safe place to hide and not to worry about anything else. What Chen Chen did, she would have to face alone. And as for me, I would leave with the 5 million I once lent her and disappear. I took the train to a small seaside town to watch things unfold. As her popularity soared, ranking at the top of the trending list, the debt collectors took advantage of the opportunity and barged into her live broadcast, demanding payment. This caused her popularity to spike, making her trend at #1. They fought in the live broadcast room. Her #1 fan also got beaten up and bruised, just like I had been before. The video clip spread all over the internet, drawing many viewers. As the incident gained more attention, Chen Chen, unwilling to give up the hard-earned traffic, teamed up with her company for damage control. They started to lie, saying the debt was just a prank between friends, and that after repaying the debt, it was all just a joke. I anonymously sent evidence of her working as an escort in college to major marketing accounts and reporters. I also gathered photos of her from former friends and classmates. As I looked at these pictures, memories of our youthful days together flooded back. I never imagined that before meeting me, she had already been so fallen and debased. If after meeting me, she had been willing to turn over a new leaf, I would have forgiven her. But to my disappointment, she was someone incapable of changing. It was then that I finally realized, her career as a borderline live streamer wasn't for me, wasn't for the family, nor was it because she worried about my safety delivering food. It was simply because of her own wicked desires. She would always be someone mired in the gutter, and she was drowning in it. As the situation began to settle down, Chen Chen started her regular livestream shopping and PK battles again. I took the opportunity to send all the photos and evidence to a competing female streamer. She agreed to expose her for me. Watching the once shameful photos and sordid past being exposed online, I thought, this should finally destroy her. I even recharged my account and spent money sending gifts to the competing streamer under my real name, becoming her #1 supporter. I knew that after Chen Chen saw this, she would be furious. That was my intention. But instead of feeling happy, I was strangely calm. Because deep down, I knew she deserved this. Unexpectedly, a few days later, she started rebutting, claiming that when we were in college, I didn't keep her as people had said, that it was just a voluntary gift during our relationship. She denied ever being an escort. She even turned the tables and accused me of cheating, saying I was having an affair with a female streamer. I never imagined that the things she had done would somehow come back to me like this. I couldn't understand how malicious Chen Chen could be. Just as I was seething with anger, I received a call from her. One after another. I didn't pick up. Looking at the wave of calls, I couldn't help but think, after all these days, I couldn't see her no matter how much I wanted to. Now, she finally had the time to contact me. She only wanted to see me if I was acting according to her purposes. I watched her call again and again, dialing and hanging up. I had no mood to pick up. Then, she tried calling from another unfamiliar number, and I answered. Before I could speak, she immediately questioned where I was. On the other end of the phone, she kept crying out, "Why are you treating me like this? Why can't you just leave me alone? There's so much I could explain to you. Why did we have to let it get to this point?" I immediately hung up and turned off my phone. I didn't want to talk to her. I had already given her countless chances, but she never appreciated them. Now, it was too late for regret. I was sitting by the beach, watching the ebb and flow of the tides, feeling at peace. A girl from a small town on the island came over and handed me a bottle of water. She kindly reminded me, the tide is about to come in. It's dangerous to stay here any longer. Since my discharge from the hospital, I had settled in this small island town. I recognized her as the daughter of the local bed and breakfast owner. I often heard her mother calling her Xiao. She worked hard every day, helping her parents go out fishing and managing the inn. I thought to myself that this simple, peaceful life was quite good. I took the water, thanked her, and stood up to leave. I found a small shop where I could make a public phone call. Hello, I want to report Highland Company for tax evasion. I hope the relevant authorities will investigate. After hanging up, I bought a few bottles of alcohol and returned. With that report, I had no further ties to Chen Qian. I would never go back to that place. What I didn't expect was that the next day, I saw Chen Qian standing outside the inn. When I saw her, I wasn't surprised at all. Her grandmother had been in contact with me regularly. I had told her everything about the events. After hearing the story, her grandmother had made up her mind to sever ties with her, muttering, "How could we have such a disgrace in our family?" She has completely ruined the Chen family's reputation. So, her arrival was just on time. I officially informed her that while she was in prison, I would file for divorce, so she shouldn't be too shocked. She was wearing the white dress from our first date and knelt down, tears glistening in her eyes. "Fu Jing, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me." Perhaps she knelt too quickly and didn't realize the person in front of her wasn't me. "No, you can't. He already has someone new." Leaning against the doorframe was Xiao. She smiled at me, her eyes gleaming with mischief. I knew she was helping me because the night before, I had been drunk and poured my heart out to her. I almost told her everything. I smiled and walked over to her, pretending to put my arm around her shoulder. "Baby, you can't blame me, and you can't be angry. It's not good for the baby." Chen Qian looked up in disbelief and tried to rush home. Xiao stopped her just in time, holding a bottle of disinfectant and spraying it everywhere. "It's so dirty, so filthy. Baby, let us have someone come clean up this mess later." I laughed and agreed. Chen Qian couldn't take it anymore. She collapsed on the ground, crying with deep emotion. "Fu Jing, are you just doing this to mess with me, putting on a show for me? Please, let me stay by your side. Don't leave me." She kept apologizing, pleading for my help, asking me to lend her money to get through this crisis, hoping we could start over. But I had heard all these words before, and they no longer moved me. I gave her one last ultimatum, "Chen Qian, I've already called the police. You don't want an additional charge for trespassing, do you?" In the end, she was taken away by the police. As she was escorted away, she cursed me with every foul word she could think of. I knew she hated me, just as I hated her. But it was all over now. At this moment, I stood by the sea, watching the sunset, appreciating the hard-earned beauty of the scene, ready to embrace a better future.